Hi, this is Alan with Alan's Firearms and Guns Plus More, and this is a Plus More. Today, I want to talk about the minimum wage. That's right, the minimum wage, which was enacted in 1938. It was to help protect minors and unskilled, uneducated factory workers being taken advantage of by unscrupulous businessmen. It covered about 20% of the workforce, and the first minimum wage was 25 cents per hour. Over time, it's been expanded to cover 80% of the workforce, which includes educated people. Minors, it doesn't protect anymore because a minor can't get a job when the minimum wage is put at as high as it is right now. If we were to take that minimum wage and actually calculate what is 25 cents worth today, $4.07. Minimum wage is a lot higher than that. But $4.07 would still be adequate, I guess. I don't think it would really help minors. I think it should be $4.07 for people who are not minors. Minors, it should be about $1.50. Because a person who's a minor, that's more than enough to pay them, and as long as they're working under a certain amount of hours so it doesn't interfere with their school. This would be fair for minors in effect. But what has the minimum wage done for people? There's no such thing as a fair living wage. A fair living wage isn't something that's fair or not fair. A wage is something that's fair for an employer to pay an employee for a particular job. What is the job worth? When he does that job, what does it get the employer back? Most employers are going to be willing to pay you what they need to pay you in order to keep a relatively good workforce that's producing for him in order for him to make a profit. If he has to pay them too much and it cuts down on his profit, then guess what? It ain't worth paying you. He's not gonna stick around. That's why there's so many businesses that have left this country and gone overseas. So it's not the businesses that are the exporters of jobs. Jobs are a result of a businessman, a creator, an inventor needing you at a fair price. The fair price is not just fair to the worker, but fair to the businessman. Once it becomes unfair to the worker, he can leave. If it's unfair to the businessman, he's going to leave. Ergo, China, India, Pakistan, all these countries that have gotten our workforce. So what about the minors? Let's talk about minors for a minute. A person underage when I was a kid, I'm almost 60, so when I was a kid, I would go after school, I'd go to the local card shop, I'd straighten out his shelves, I'd sweep the floors, I'd do things like that for him, and in turn, he'd give me a couple of bucks, or he'd give me one of the toys or something. Can't do that anymore, it's illegal. But I was getting a work ethic. I knew if I did something for somebody, I'd get something in return. And every day, I'd go after school and did that. So I can save up enough to either buy the G.I. Joe or do enough work where he'd give me the G.I. Joe new space capsule or new outfit or whatever I wanted. That was the idea. It worked. Our parents grew up, and our our grandparents and great-grandparents and all the way back grew up at a time in this country. The whole idea was you work hard enough to give your child the opportunities that they can, when they grow up, build a better life for themselves. That is gone. It disappeared sometime during my generation. Now it's give your kid everything. The kid can't work for himself anymore because no one can afford to hire a kid or willing to because of all the regulations, laws. I mean, a kid can't even go out in the street and have a lemonade stand without a permit. We used to have lemonade stands all the time. We'd go out, make lemonade, we'd make stuff, we'd sell it on the street to people or in the schools. Can't do that anymore, it's illegal. So kids now don't have paper routes, they don't have those little jobs, and the parents, their idea is give their kid a better life by just handing it to them. Not giving them the opportunity that they can make a better life for themselves, but handing it to them. So from the time the kid is born, he gets everything. He gets all of his toys, he doesn't have to work for anything, he doesn't have to earn anything. By the time he's 13 years old, if he's Jewish, he's got a $25,000 bar mitzvah handed to him. If he's a confirmation, they do the same thing. Sweet 16s, all this crap. They get all these big parties, and what did they have to do to earn it? Nothing. Maybe get good grades in school, but big deal because the schools aren't teaching the kids anything. It's easy to teach the kids things that kids like than kids need to know. This leaves the parents to totally support them and care for them until they're done with college, and up to including college. And the kids that don't have the parents that can actually afford to do that, they can always take out a loan, which the government gives. Another thing, when you're given something free, you don't think you need to really pay for it. They go through life not needing to work, everything handed to them. They go through college, and then when they're done with college and they get out, they didn't have to save for a car, they didn't have to save for college, they didn't have to save for anything, except that they did save, it was out of their allowance that was given to them, not worked for. They graduate without a work ethic, without being able to even build a resume. I worked for this candy store, I worked for this shop, and those shops and all those things don't exist anymore. The government regulations has killed all these businesses. So now you have to work for a big corporation. The American dream of me owning my little store is done because little stores are frowned upon, they're destroyed. They want only big businesses to exist because the government controls one big business easier than 50 little businesses. You graduate school, you don't have a resume, you don't have a work ethic, you don't have proof of concept that you understand any kind of business or customer interaction, people interaction, teamwork, play, anything. You don't have any proof of that, so no resume. And you expect to get a $50,000 a year job? Ain't gonna happen. We are done with the era and time of what they called white privilege. I mean, they're all out there in the streets screaming it, but it's not white privilege. It is just kid privilege. Yes, there's different classes of it, different levels of it. The richer have more privileges than the poor, but it's all privilege because the kids haven't done anything. They haven't had to do anything. They just keep going and going and going on mama and papa's buck or on the government dole without learning anything. They feel entitled. They feel entitled to whatever they think they should have. They feel entitled to free healthcare. They feel entitled to free cell phones. They feel entitled to free internet. They feel entitled to free everything. And the government loves that. They love that attitude because people that feel entitled to stuff, as long as you're giving them one thing, you could take away something else. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about problems with minimum wage. All the minimum wage, you keep raising it. McDonald's is already testing it. They're having a situation where it's going to be all automated. Every time you raise the minimum wage, every time a union gets wages raised for workers, companies do one. They fire other employees and make the ones that are left do more work for that same amount of money. Two, they export the jobs to people who are willing to work for a fair wage instead of a minimum wage. Three, they go out of business. Those are the three things that happen. Oh no, there's a fourth one. They raise the cost of the product, which basically wipes out the wage increase. If a loaf of bread costs 25 cents and you're paid $1 a week, and 25 cents of that goes to buy that loaf of bread. So now you get an increase of 50 cents a week, and the bread manufacturer has to cover that. Now the bread is 55 or 65 cents. By the time you pay for it, that 25-cent raise you just got is going to cost you 65 cents. The more you make, the more it's going to cost you. I'm not saying you don't want to make more, but you need to make it fairly where the company sees what you're doing in business worth the money. When they pay wages that are worth the work, they can keep the price of their products down. When they have to pay too much for that work, the price of the product goes up, and once it reaches a saturation point, they can't make the product anymore because no one's going to buy it at that price. They either put the company out of business or they move it overseas. It's very simple. I hope I made it simple enough for you guys to understand me. So, without any further ado, let's get the fuck out of here. Turn the minimum wage back to what it was. Let's make it $4.07, which is not a fair wage. It is The minimum wage you can pay someone for doing a job. Let it cover the 20%, not the 80. Until next time.